Coming up tonight, the country's #1 cultural expression touches down in Exuma. Junkanoo rang out last night. The details straight ahead. Plus, Generation Next is on its way with Jade Moyer, who is a Bahamian living her best life performing in the Big Apple and every big city in Uncle Sam's country, singing and performing. And memoirs of Gary, the guitar guy. Our Jean Joseph had a sit down with this musician. The Skinny is on its way in our arts and entertainment segment. Stay close. This is Our News Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Megan Shepard. Junkanoo is back on the island of Exuma. Hundreds of residents and tourists alike gathering on the Georgetown Park last evening to enjoy the 2023 New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade. Member of Parliament for Exuma, Chester Cooper, calling it an exciting time to have Junkanoo return to the streets of Exuma.
It's like that song from Nishi LS that says, "Loose me, let me go." The Bahamian people are feeling that. We see so many Bahamians out here tonight. That's the first important point. The second significant point is the number of tourists. If we look just behind us, for example, we see more tourists here right now than we've seen at the entire parade in Nassau. And I've been to Grand Bahama, and it was a magnificent parade there. But what we see here really is the showcasing of Junkanoo to the world.
Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg officially opening the parade.
It's a great pleasure to see so many of you out here tonight to experience, if not your favorite group, the one you will begin to love after they hit the streets of Exuma. Whether it's the musical youths, the Crusaders, or the Warriors. At the end of the day, there will only be one winner.
And here's what those groups brought to the parade route as onlookers anxiously line the streets. First up, the Crusaders. Then it was time for the defending champs to wow the crowd, the musical youths. And rounding out the competition, the Warriors. And when all was said and done, the Warriors placed third, Crusaders second, and claiming 2 straight, the musical youths are once again the Exuma New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade champs. Congratulations to all groups on a job well done. A Piper PA-23 aircraft with 2 people on board crashing shortly after takeoff from the Exuma International Airport yesterday morning. The 2 persons on board were able to walk away safely from this incident. Member of Parliament for Exuma and Minister of Aviation, Chester Cooper.
God is good, and I think that's the message. The captain happens to be Pastor Steve Smith. And I'm sure he is a praying man, as he is a pastor of one of the largest Baptist churches in Exuma. I'm happy that there are no significant injuries. I won't comment on the crash itself. Airport investigative authority is charged with looking into the matter. That falls under the remit of the Ministry of Transport. I understand they're coming in tomorrow. They'll make further statements on it.
Police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the discovery of a male visitor found unresponsive inside his hotel room. Reports say family members discovered the male, who is in his 30s, shortly after midnight on Friday. Upon their arrival, EMS confirmed no signs of life. Police said present foul play is not suspected. However, an autopsy will be performed to determine the exact cause of death. Government is working on funding for the long-awaited Gladstone Road improvement project, according to Works Minister Alfred Sayers. Sayers telling reporters that plans are also in the works for Family Island roads as well. Bethany McDermott reports.
Works and Utilities Minister Alfred Sears giving an update on road works for Gladstone Road that's seen a few delays. Sears saying funds are being sourced for the project.
The funding for that project is being finalized with a number of multilateral sources, Caribbean Development Bank.
The project, slated to begin at the end of 2022, was pushed back to mid-2023 and is expected to last for 2 years, according to officials from the Ministry of Works and Utilities. Just this week, the Ministry of Works announced the 5-week road improvement project is set to begin on Gladstone Road. He said this is just an interim measure.
What is taking place there now is an interim measure, which is like an overlay to improve the rideability of the road. The preparation is underway in terms of the expansion. It involves negotiating with various persons where property has to be acquired, with the utility company where lighting poles have to be removed. So all of that preparatory work is taking place now.
The road improvement will span the entire length of Gladstone Road and feature 5 new major junctions controlled by roundabouts. It's also expected to include the realignment of the roundabout of JFK Drive and Gladstone Road. Additionally, the road is supposed to be turned into a dual carriageway. Sears also explains road works for the Family Island.
We also have 2 major projects in Andros, one in North Andros, the second in South Andros, and there will be a third dealing with Red Bay's Andros. We have being negotiated a major road project in Eleuthera. Yes. And that we hope to commence shortly.
Sears said projects are also in the works for Long Island, Exuma, the Berry Islands, and across New Providence. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. When Our News Weekend Edition returns from the break, Bahamasair wins the Caribbean's best airline for 2022. A big deal indeed. And a Bahamian trekking her way across the United States, making waves in the performing arts. Her story straight ahead in Generation Next.
The CFO at this young age, it really is very fulfilling to me, and it really shows that the hard work, the hours that I put in my career, they really paid off. Having such young persons in such a key role really shows that the board of directors have a lot of trust in the leadership of the young people. Being committed to excellence means that you put all of your effort into whatever it is you're doing to get the best benefit out of that task or anything you're doing in life.
Bahamasair receiving an award from the World Travel Awards as the winner of the Caribbean's best airline for 2022. Our Italia Hall speaking recently with the airline's managing director, who says the award came as no surprise for the company.
Managing Director Tracy Cooper says Bahamasair strives to provide the best service to its customers and adds that not because the airline is a fairly small carrier means they can't make a big impact.
Over the years, Bahamasair have provided, we fly to 13 destinations internally in the Bahamas, and we fly to 5 destinations now to the U.S., and we fly to 3 destinations in the Caribbean. So we have a vast reach.
Cooper revealing the airline does a lot of charters for the Caribbean.
For Carifta, for all sporting meets, for government moving persons around, for repatriations.
As to what he thinks contributed to the airline's success?
The team that we have at Bahamasair, they're well skilled, as you could tell from some of our folks that have been around for an appreciable period of time, and as such they're also having a real wealth of experience.
And as for the company's finances, the managing director admits that sometimes as a transportation system, it may not be as profitable as they would like it to be.
But sometimes it's more about growing the economy and the economies of the islands. So even though that particular transportation element may not be profitable to Bahamasair, it is beneficial to the Bahamas.
But he says in 2019, Bahamasair had its best year yet, as they carried over 940,000 customers and had a revenue of $97 million. But he says it was the COVID-19 pandemic that got in the way.
If it wasn't for COVID, we would have probably exceeded those numbers as well. And so we have things in 2023 and 2024 that will provide less need on the purses of the government.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Atalia Hall.
Thanks, Italia. Retired Deputy Commissioner of Police Emerick Seymour receiving the King's Honor from King Charles III. The award recognizes Bahamians for their outstanding contributions and service to the Bahamas. The retired Deputy Commissioner says he is grateful for the honor and had this bit of advice for officers just coming into the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Stay focused, stay committed, and always remember why you were saved and who you're called to save. The Bahamian people are depending on the Royal Police Force. I used to tell my officers that we had a bastion between law and lawlessness. If you take the police department out of the equation, you have nothing but anarchy. And so once they stay focused and contribute and continue to support the administration, the sky's the limit.
Seymour is now the director of the Financial Intelligence Unit. He explains that role.
I'm so thankful for this opportunity to continue my service for and on behalf of the people, Bahamian people. And so we ensure that we work hand in hand from the FIU, we work hand in hand with all of our other industry partners, Securities Commission, Compliance Commission, Attorney General Office, and all of them, to ensure that the Bahamas, particularly our financial sector, is not penetrated by the criminal element. And so we have to watch out for things like terrorism, terrorist financing. We have to watch out for terrorism financing, money laundering.
When Our News Weekend edition comes back from the break, play me a song, Mr. Guitar Man. Our Jean Joseph gets that song, Heritage, straight ahead. And speaking of song, Bahamian songstress Jade Moyer making waves in the Big Apple and all across the big cities in the U.S. We have the details in Generation X when the weekend edition returns. Welcome back. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Boleg announcing that for the first time, the Ministry of Youth will be launching a National Youth Guard. The launch is expected to happen this month on Grand Bahama.
We'll have 100 young people will be the first cohort of individuals who will be learning to response to disaster recovery. 60 persons will be from the Family Island and 40 from New Providence. And so I will be here along with the Prime Minister at the end of the month when we will launch that initiatives. And for the first time after 50 years, we will finally have a draft of a youth policy that does not exist in this country. And so finally, this ministry will then put forward in Parliament where we can put forward a youth policy before the 50th anniversary.
He says, in a nutshell, that policy will empower and protect young people. Now, the Youth Guard is open to anyone 18 through 26 years old.
It's to put young people throughout the various islands in the Bahamas to be able to always have someone on the ground for preparation. For when, for example, let's say the greatest disaster we normally have on a consistent basis, hurricane. So they will be able to do the groundwork and preparations for when the forces like the defense, police, and those who can come on the ground to be able to make sure that things are in order. They will be able to do the footstep or the footwork prior to the big kahunas coming in and making sure that our people are safe.
Generation Next is back. I bet that's music to your ears. Tonight, I introduce you to singer-songwriter Jade Moyer. The 24-year-old has been singing from childhood, from church choirs and school plays to theater work and more. At 15, she moved to North Carolina, and the dream of taking this love to a professional level grew even more.
I decided to go to a performing arts school in New York. AMDA is a performing arts college, and I pretty much got started with my professional training there. Then I moved to New York and finished out my degree in performing arts, and I kind of just stayed there and dove a little bit deeper into the studio music and background singing world.
Jade is also a singer and a songwriter for widely popular church group One House.
I got to perform with people like Travis Green and Chandler Moore and Naomi Rain and people like that from Maverick City. And then I got to just like perform with a lot of super amazing singers and performers in the LA world, and I am just gonna continue to keep going.
Although making a name for herself already, the 24-year-old creative says overthinking can sometimes be her biggest challenge.
So much about performance is being in the moment and just living very in the present, and obviously working on the technique and stuff beforehand, but like live performance is very much like in the moment.
The singer proving to be more than enough as she recently hit the stage performing with Grammy award-winning singer, songwriter, and pianist Alicia Keys.
Super impressed and shocked, because honestly that whole day was like a lot of craziness going on, so we didn't get to fully rehearse with her the way we wanted to. So it was kind of like we just did our own thing and then showed up on the stage, and she didn't really know what to expect. So I think it was just like a really, really rewarding feeling to know that we were able to be professional and show up and do what we came to do, and she was like super, super impressed and amazed by that.
Now, while she travels often for her work, she says COVID has helped independent artists with their reach while not having to leave their homes. She shares one of her latest goals.
One of the things that I'd like to focus on working more is in the music sync world, so getting music on shows and TV, and that's something that's really mostly digital. Like you just have to have your own home setup, and then you're sharing your projects to some music supervisors and things like that.
And here's Jade's advice to other aspiring young people seeking to enter the industry.
Find your groove in writing or making music or whatever it is, and if you know that you have something that's gold, just continue to push at it and work at it. It's not going to seem like it's going anywhere probably starting out, but it's just important to continue to work that creative muscle.
Just after the break, the weather report is on its way to get your weekend activities planned just right. And arts and entertainment is up next with our Jean Joseph. Stay tuned, those details when the weekend edition returns.
As a CEO, it really delights me, quite frankly, to have such young, nimble, agile thinkers. Their innovation and creativity is really at the forefront when they show up for work and they're fully committed. Nothing, in my mind, beats the benefit of experience. The benefit of them on our team is tremendous. To really be thinking about fiber to the home is like the next frontier of technology. Rollout across the entire new province really brings a lot of excitement and energy to our teams. And I'm delighted to be thinking about the future of the Bahamas with fiber to the home everywhere.
Welcome back. Still planning to go out this weekend? Here's a look at the weather over the next few days so you can plan just right. Francis is a multi-instrumentalist and photographer whose music and photos will take your breath away. Join our Gene Joseph as he finds out how Gary juggles it all and what keeps him going.
Hi, my name is Gary Francis Jr., also known as Gary the Guitarist.
Gary the Guitarist is a guitarist, but he's so much more than that. Gary is also a drummer and pianist who writes and produces music for himself and others, in addition to working as a gig musician and photographer.
It started because the band that I was in, called Haven, we needed an album cover. And so my friend at the time had a camera and we set it up on a tripod, and then I ended up running back and forth trying to do it on a timer. And then from there, I just kept doing it, started shooting friends, started shooting family, and 7, 8 years later, now I'm a professional photographer.
Though he has taken a major role behind the camera, he still professes his love for music and performs regularly in his day job. Gary finds other opportunities to utilize his gifts and highlights his pairs with his Music Monday show.
So what started as a challenge for myself ended up being a collaboration with more artists and other musicians called Music Mondays. And so I've worked with various artists like Nishi Ellis, Dyson Knight, Tanisha Sweeting, Charles the Fox, Tim Daniels, Sasha the Duchess, and various others. Those are just a few at the top of my head. What they do is they come into my studio and I accompany them on my guitar, and they sing either their original songs or their favorite covers. And so you can find that on Facebook and YouTube, Gary the Guitarist, or TFL Studio on Facebook and Instagram.
Gary's taste in music is wide, and his performances are just as varied.
My preferred genres are rock, contemporary R&B, and pop music. I like happy music, I like dance music. I also like soul and trap soul stuff that really connect emotionally and that kind of stuff.
And if you're dying to hear Gary in person, you will have to take a drive to the west side of town for brunch.
You can always find me and several other artists at Studio Cafe for the acoustic brunch. Acoustic brunch started because they wanted more live music. And so what happens is there's a roster of various Bahamian artists, and they come and perform either their music and or covers, usually 3 at a time, once a week.
Gary is working on new music and hopes to bless you with some new originals and remakes of his older work. Until then, you can catch him online on Facebook and Instagram. Reporting for Our News, Arts and Entertainment, I'm Gene Joseph.
Thanks, Gene, and thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend Edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.